And so without any further delay, let's introduce Attorney Mawuli Mel Davis, who will walk us through this first part of our presentation from the Davis Bozeman Law Firm.
Good evening. We're going to move quickly. My time is short, but I think we have a lot of information to cover. Is everybody all right? How many of you all watch Law & Order? Put your hands up. How many of y'all think because y'all watch Law & Order, y'all know the law? Leave them up. Don't even play. You know, because you watch Law & Order, you think you know the law, right? So we're going to walk through a few issues that it's important for us to understand. So I'm going to ask questions. This is a real call and response. Is that all right, Dr. Kim? You know we want to do call and response. That's in the spirit of our African tradition. So first, let me ask this question. When do the police have to read you your rights? Put your hand up. I want a young person and a more senior person. Can I make you the senior person, brother? He's right in the middle. Yeah, I'm in the middle.
I mean, when you're getting arrested.
When you're getting arrested. How many of you all agree with that? Put your hands up. When you're getting arrested. Somebody, you don't have your hand up. Then tell me, when do you think? Okay, here's a young man. When do you think?
I agreed with him.
You agreed. Okay. Anyone disagree? Let me get back here real quick.
When they born you down on the floor and tell you pin you behind them handcuffs, that's when they throw you in the back of that truck, in the back of that van. That's when they should tell you your rights.
All right. He made it real plain right there. When they throw you down and, and that's an experience that a lot of our young people are having. But guess what? That's incorrect. So let's think about this. Somebody in here has watched enough Law & Order that they will tell us that they can almost recite what the police are supposed to say. Who can just recite it off the top of their head? You have the right to anything can be. There it is. There it is. Can you make them a JD? Can you do that? And now y'all JDs. So here's what it is. It doesn't really start until they ask you questions, because you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say, not just because I arrest you, right? So if I'm walking, and in the old days, when I was on the south side of Chicago, I might actually be walking with something in my pocket I shouldn't have. And I see the police coming and I throw it to the ground. The police officer comes up, he picks it up. It's an illegal substance, now legal in certain states, but not in Georgia. Be clear. And then he says, oh, I saw you throw that sack down. I'm getting ready to put you in handcuffs and arrest you. At what point does he need to read me my rights? Not at all. Because he doesn't have a question to ask me. He has seen what he needs to see. So all the time when I was doing more criminal, now most of my practice is civil rights, folks will come in and say, oh, these charges can't stick. They didn't read my son his rights. Well, they saw him on video. They didn't have to ask him no questions. They got a video. That's the evidence. So you have to understand what prompts it is the questioning in custody. Does everybody understand? Because that's a huge myth in our community. You have to be, one, in custody, and two, you have to be questioned. If they just arrest you and they don't question you, there's no need to read you your rights. So let me give you an example. I need you got your earphones on. Come on, stand up. Let's talk. Come on, man. Come on. See, I'm going to pick on you now because they normally pay me $500 an hour, so we're doing this for free. So y'all going to be engaged. You will be engaged, okay? You will show me respect by messing with me the whole time. All you young people, I'm going to come over to you. So if I come up to you, I'm going to do something I don't want to be. I'm going to be, I'm law enforcement right now, okay? I'm 12. I'm just telling you this. I'm just telling you, okay? So I'm going to come up to you, and you're walking. I'm going to say, excuse me, sir, do you mind if I speak to you for a second? No. So right around the corner, down the street at the J.R. Crickets, there was just an armed robbery. Were you involved in that? No. At this point, do I have to read him his rights? No. He's not in custody. Come on, y'all. Come on now. I'm just asked him because there are 3 tiers to an engagement. The first tier is a consensual encounter. The consensual encounter is, sir, do you mind if I speak to you? He could say, I do mind, and keep walking, right? If he keeps walking, I have to then have a basis to stop him. If I don't have a basis to stop him, now I'm detaining him illegally. When I put him in handcuffs and start questioning him, he's in custody, and that's when it's triggered. Everybody understand? All right, don't, we ready. We're going to move. Thank you, brother. All right, don't put them headphones back in now. Listen to me. All right, we're going to move. I want to just do something real quick to put this in context, because with what has happened across the country, what's been happening across the country, I want to be crystal clear. We're not blaming the victim. Y'all understand? That's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to say, if only they would have did this, they'd be alive. I'm not doing that. I'm not that guy. I don't believe that. I believe that there are certain things that we can do that can increase the likelihood of us getting home. But I always use Trayvon Martin as the best example. They tell us what? Be close to your father. They tell us that this is an economic issue, right? Where was he? His father's house. Where at? In a gated community. And still, he's hunted by a vigilante. Jumped on and shot down like a dog. So I'm not the person who's going to just keep saying the reason all of our young people keep getting shot is because they just don't know what to do. That's not it. What we have to be clear about is that our young people are treated differently. Let's go to the first slide. I just want to say that, right? How many of you all in here still tell your children you're going to have to work 2-3 times as hard? See, we need to stop doing that. We have stopped telling our children that you have to work harder because we want to say, oh, it's all even and it's all fair, but that's just not the case. So let's take a look. When you did the Google, I know you all have seen this on Facebook. When you did the Google, 3 black teenagers, you get mug shots. 3 white teenagers, you get kids, right? We are looked at differently. Young people, I'm telling you that. I'm not backing off of it. I'm not a person, even though I'm in the legal system, to say the system is right and we just got to be better. So be clear. This is your reality. If I don't tell you that, I'm doing you a disservice. If I don't tell you the fire is hot, you're going to get burned. That's the reality of it. Open carry. We treat it differently. You all remember this guy walking around through the airport with this loaded weapon, and then here's Tamir Rice playing with a toy gun. Do you see the difference? But young people, we got to understand that, and I know you're saying it's not fair, but until we get the world right, you got to live under these circumstances and conditions, and you got to move accordingly. That's what it is. That's what I have to tell my sons. It hurts, it's painful, but it's the way we're going to try to keep you alive as long as we can for you to be the next generation to bring this corrupt system to its knees and correct it and build something anew. Is everybody all right?
To be a man, to be a human being, to be respected as a human being, to be given the rights of a human being, in this society, on this earth, in this day, which we intend to bring into existence by any means necessary.
So we're going to do this right. Everybody ready? Can the police stop you when you're walking down the street? I'm coming over here because let me see, who's not paying attention? Because you're not paying me, so you got to pay attention. Come on, young man in the green. Can the police stop you when you are walking down the street? Yes or no? Anybody disagree? Can the police stop you when you're walking down the street? They can if they have a reasonable suspicion that you have engaged in criminal activity. So what's that look like, right? First and foremost, if you are stopped by the police, we're going to have to do a role play because this is important. I want you all, because me just talking, it may not stick. So we've got to do a quick role play. Come on, brother. This is one of our strong activists. You'll see him in the street leading some of our protests. This brother goes hard, so I'm going to approach him in a way that law enforcement might approach him as he finishes marching for 3 and 4 hours straight. Sir, can I speak to you for a second? Okay. Sir, I believe that you are a person involved in an armed robbery down the street. And for officer safety, I'm going to detain you and I'm going to pat you down to make sure that you don't have any weapons. Am I illegal? Is this officer doing anything illegal? No. No. Listen. If the officer can show that he has reasonable suspicion that the individual he's detaining was involved in a criminal activity, he can stop him. Second, is it illegal for him to pat him down? No. Why? The key words you have to remember is officer safety. Y'all understand? Officers, I got cousins, best friends, they're trying to get home at night. And so when they come up on a situation, if I were to come up and I'm just even not being an officer and he got his hand in his pockets, I'm like, oh, what's up with the bruh? Right? Police think the same way. They're like, why your hands in your pocket? Let me see your hands. They want to make sure that you don't have a weapon. So it's lawful for them to pat you down. So you resisting the pat down creates a situation that is dangerous. That's why we're giving you this information, right? The response, if the officer comes and says, sir, may I talk to you? This is what, and we have to have in our minds a dialogue, a response. I say, officer, I'm sorry, I'm in a hurry, I need to get to my children. Children, you can say, officer, I'm sorry, I'm in a hurry, I need to get to my mother, right? Then you ask the question because we have to increase our communication skills. This is not the time to be mumbling and stumbling. This is the time to be incredibly articulate and clear with your words, right? And so I'm saying to the officer, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get home, I'm in a rush, but am I free to go? Let's say that together. Thank you, brother. Oh, we got to get this now, like a choir. Am I free to go? Ask the question. Before you do anything, ask the question. I want to over-communicate with a man who has life and death on his hip and is been ingrained to be afraid of me, whether he's a black officer, white officer, or Asian officer, or Latino officer. He's ingrained to be afraid of a young black man, and so I'm going to over-communicate to him. Am I free to go, officer? And I'm going to do it with respect. I'm not coming at you. We don't need a back and forth. I don't have a badge or a gun. I want to get out of this situation and then to go hire a law firm to sue you, if need be. We don't sue everybody, just we try. So you just have to understand that verbiage. Am I free to go? Young people, can we say it one more time? Am I free to go? Ask the question, and for everything in the world, do not run. Don't run. Don't run. We have too many cases where young people are running to get away because they think they have a warrant, because they got some weed, because whatever, child support, and they take off running. And when you're running and you got something in your hand, for some reason, they always think it's a gun. It can be a cell phone. It can be a Twinkie. Some of y'all still eat Twinkies. It can be anything, Skittles, and they will shoot you. So don't run. And that's hard for me. I grew up, you learn how to play basketball in the South Side. You learn how to play strikeout, and you learn how to run from the police. That was all a part of it. So please do not run. I'm saying, even if you're dirty, take the charge. I'd rather come and defend you, pro bono, some of y'all, as long as I can defend you. Because the hardest thing in the world is to sit with a mother, a father, to see a little child who will never get to meet their father because their father took off running for some nonsense. That's a hard, hard conversation. And to any money we're able to get can never replace that father. And it's hard. These cases are very, very hard. Anybody have any questions about being stopped on the street? I got to take a couple quick questions, and I'm going to get to a car situation. Yes, sir, in the orange shirt. Yes, sir. Say your name real quick. Nice and loud.
Jonathan,
Yes.
if they corner you on the street, do you tell them if you have a weapon or if it's licensed?
Wow. How old are you, brother? Man, stand up and y'all give him a round of applause. That's intelligence. That's excellence. That's a great question. If you have a firearm, it is my suggestion that you disclose you have a firearm and that you, again, over-communicate. Officer, I am licensed to carry. And I know y'all are thinking, man, that ain't help our brother. You right. This is not foolproof. This is not racist proof. This is not scary cop proof. This is just the best we have. That's all we can give you. And so you say, officer, I am licensed to carry. My firearm is on my right side. My license and registration is in the glove box. How do you want me to handle this? They're asking you questions. You ask them questions to slow the process down. Slow it down with questions of how do I move in this set of circumstances, all right? That's the best we have. Yes?
What happens if you do have a gun but you don't have a license?
If you do have a gun but you don't have a license, you may be going to jail, okay? But it's okay, right? Because you're alive, and I know we saw a brother up on the screen who was talking. He had been to jail, but we know him now as the shining black prince. So you can be all right if you go to jail, but you can't be all right if you end up in the cemetery. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And I'm coming over here.
I have two parts to mine. I had a situation some years ago. Me and my family, we are a gun-carrying family. And we have permits to carry our firearms.
All right.
I was stopped by the police for a traffic violation, and I keep my registration and insurance in the glove compartment. At that time, my gun was in the glove compartment. As I was reaching over, I did say, officer, I have a firearm. It's in my glove compartment. At that time, he told me to step out of the car.
Correct.
I stepped out of the car. He told me to walk around to the passenger side where the glove compartment is at. He allowed me to open. But he opened. He removed my firearm, and he told me to get my registration and insurance. All right, got the ticket. It was a speeding ticket. That was over. Okay, there's another scenario to this. I have a son. As I say, we're a gun-carrying family. He's 21. He was stopped. Has a firearm. Mm-hmm. Has a permit to carry the firearm. Was detained. Mm-hmm. They checked his background. They checked to see if the firearm was stolen. Even though he had his gun permit on him, he was still detained. Two different scenarios.
Correct.
I was let go.
Yes.
My son, who's 21, was detained.
And that's a testimony. That's, again, we are clear that we're treated differently. That's why we're here. I have somebody over here. Yes, ma'am. And then Dr. Young. Yes.
Is it safe to engage your cell phone?
It's a great question. When is it safe to engage your cell phone? One, as you're being pulled over, fumbling around inside of your car, again, raises the antenna for law enforcement that, in fact, you may have something that's dangerous. If you're able to press record and sit your phone down, that is my suggestion. I do not suggest that you hold the phone up in the face of law enforcement like, I got you, what's up now? Don't do that, all right? Because they're going to be like, they're going to escalate, right? And so you don't want to antagonize. You want to survive. So you push record and you try to deal with it that way and record as best you can. There are some apps that Brother Jared will talk about in his piece that everyone should be aware of that will help alert your family members of what's happening if you're pulled over by law enforcement. Abel, Mabel. Yes, sir.
Yes, how y'all doing now? The question everybody, it happens to me all the time. They call it legal search and seizure. Police stop me. They ask the question, well, can I search your car? I said, no. They still snatch me out the car, take me back and search it.
All right. So here's what we have to do. My position is report everything. As a community, we have to report everything. Any indignity that you suffer at the hands of the police, you have to understand that that could be a license for it to escalate. If they would treat a 45-year-old man dressed in a suit disrespectfully, what do you think they're going to do to the young brother sagging? They're just going to go all through him. So we have to, if you feel that they've done something that's wrong, that's inappropriate, report them. There's no trip. It's no big, don't be afraid of that. Go down to the police station, report them. Because what happens is when we file lawsuits and we do open records requests, sometimes we'll get a file and there's nothing in it. And you don't go from just being officer perfect to shooting somebody in the back of the head. That just doesn't happen like that. Most of these officers that are in certain communities have abused our folks, either verbally, physically, at a lower level, and we have not reported. We have to report. We have to continue to report them and wait until you get the report back to sustain it. I have 1 minute left. Hold on, let me run through. Can the police pat you down without a search warrant? Yes, absolutely. It's called a Terry frisk. It's constitutional to pat you down for what? Officer what? All right, just want us to keep remembering that. If the officer asks you to step out of the car, do you have to comply? Does everybody understand that? For a stop sign, for a seatbelt violation, for a speeding ticket, if the officer says, sir, ma'am, I need you to step out of your vehicle, you have to comply. Why? Because they can say, it is for officer safety. I need you to remove yourself out of the vehicle because if there's a firearm in the vehicle, I'm trying to get you away from the firearm and in a position where I can pat you down and make sure you don't have a weapon. Is everybody clear? Don't argue with them while you get me out the car. If it's lawful, they can do it. Just roll with it. If you feel like they did it because they're profiling, report them, but not on the street. You're not going to win that argument on the street. Y'all, I got to run through these. I know everybody has their hand. I'm going to hang as long as I can. If the officer asks to search the car, can you refuse? Let's say it together. I'll tell you the exact words. I do not consent to a search. Let's say that together, shall we? I do not consent to a search. And you almost have to practice it in the mirror, right? I tell my sons, when somebody approaches you to do something that you don't want to do, have your response ready. That's how you have to be with law enforcement. If you would have your response ready for something as simple as, hey, do you want to have a sip of this beer? No, I don't drink. Then you should have a response ready when it comes to law enforcement. Am I right? Because it's a nervous situation, and if you don't practice, you won't be ready. Can the police enter your house without a search warrant? Give you a quick circumstance. There's something that's called plain sight and plain smell. So if they come and knock on your door, and you come and open the door, and a big cloud of smoke comes out, and the smoke smells like some loud, and you young people know what I'm talking about, some of you, they can come into your house. Or if they open the door and they see what looks like a big pile of white powder, they can come into your house. Or if you are running from the police and you run into your house and you slam the door and say, ooh, I'm safe now. No, you're not. They can come into your house. So exigent circumstances or when there is something that's in plain sight or plain smell. Okay? Almost through. Do you have to open your door to talk to the police if they don't have a warrant? You do not. You don't. If they tell you that they are searching for someone that is inside of your house, and you know they're in your house, and you refuse to open the door, you can be charged with obstruction. But just opening the door because they say, hey, open the door and talk to me, you do not have to do that. Call 911 and let them know exactly what you're doing so that you can record the situation as well. We have a case like that right now. We already talked about when police have to read you your rights. All of this information are on the cards. Did everybody get one of the Know Your Rights cards? Okay. We're going to have some young volunteers help me pass out the card. So if you did not receive a Know Your Rights card, we'll get it to you. We developed this card over 10 years ago because of the experience we were having in Fulton County when Red Dog was still Red Dog. And we knew something was wrong, and so we decided as a firm that we need to create something to put in our folks' wallets so they knew their legal rights. Everything that's up here, they're all statements that we talked about. The first one, let's read it. I do not consent to a search. I do not consent to a search. The second one, am I free to go? And last, I have nothing to say until I speak with my lawyer, Brother Patillo. He's there to represent you. All right. I'll stop here. We're talking about peaceful protests. If anybody is interested, we have some workshops that we do with young people who want to engage in protest. I'm out of time. I hope that you learned something. I encourage you to know your rights, to exert your rights, but to do it in a safe way. We're not out here to try to prove a point, right? The points that we prove are in the courthouse, not on the sidewalk when it's just you and the officer. I'm begging you, don't do that. Just be patient. We're at a point in our history where we have to be strategic. Am I right, Reverend Jackson? We Chicago folk, right? We have to be strategic. And so I'm asking that you be strategic as you engage with law enforcement so that you can survive that experience. You can call a law firm. It doesn't have to be ours. I'm not tripping. What's for us is for us. Call any law firm that serves your community, right? Tired of y'all going to these folks and they not up in here. I'm sorry, I had to get that one off. But again, I encourage you, know your rights, learn your rights, exert your rights. And I just want to close by saying this. Our young people who are struggling in the street right now, they deserve our support. If we had the answer, it would already be done. I have 2 sons, and if I had the answer, it would be done. So who am I to tell these young people how to struggle against a system that has been built to destroy them? Who am I? I'm not going to do it. I got their back. I hope you have their back. God bless. Power to the people.
Mawuli Davis, everybody, give it up for him. Come on.